Hello, welcome to the stream. Hi. So today I'm working on an illustration for the vampire novel that I am writing. Um, and I don't know yet for sure if I want to illustrate the whole thing or not. So this one is almost like a test run, so to speak, of seeing if I can find the right look that I want for it and see how that goes. On the last stream, I started from pretty much from scratch. Like I had some very very basic stuff done. Um, so I went ahead and did like a tiny bit of work on it still. Here, let me bring the opacity up so you can see the line art here. And this is what I ended up with essentially in between streams. I had her face done. I had his face pretty much done. I just tweaked the eyes a little. And I had started his hair and it was not looking how I wanted it to at all. So their faces are good. They're down here, like where their hands are. I don't totally love that, but it's fine as like a placeholder, so I can go ahead and get like painting today. And then I want to add like some detail on her clothes as well. But that is also going to be more through the painting part of it. So yeah, essentially I'm going to go ahead and start that today. I'm doing everything in black and white since I want to have it hopefully in my book. That way it like I can know exactly what it's going to look like when it's printed if it's already in black and white, whereas if I try to draw it in color, it might not look as good transferred to black and white. Plus it's always good to like see your like values and stuff anyway. So yeah, essentially that's the plan today, is I'm going to start working on some painting. Yeah, all right. So I kind of talked a little bit last time about these characters, not a lot, but the girl is my lead. She is, well, her name's Anya, for one thing. Actually, you know what? I think I want to fill in the background first. It's kind of a nice, like, semi-neutral, semi-dark gray. I think will be good. Okay. So, background first, which I usually don't do, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's just what I want to do this time. Anyway. Plus, I'm only doing like a color block for the background, essentially. Not really doing the background. Sorry, I keep distracting myself from what I'm trying to say. So, these characters. Anya, the girl on the right, that's my lead character. And then the other figure is Callahan, which is her brother. So essentially the premise of the novel is that Anya and Cal's sister, their older sister, was killed by a vampire, and that essentially Anya is on a revenge mission. So it's a vampire story, but it's a revenge story. Okay, now that I've just made this whole thing gray in not using the fill tool like I could have. Okay, yeah. So, like I was saying, it's a revenge story, but it's also kind of like a competition story, I guess. Yeah, because essentially the world that it takes place in. Is this the brush I like? Yeah, okay. The world that it takes place in is ruled by vampires and other creatures, but specifically the country that they're from is ruled by vampires. And there's this contest every year where the winner gets to be turned into a vampire. And the idea is that on the surface, it seems like this wonderful thing because you get to be, free from this like oppressive life that you have as this the peasant human. And like, so on the surface it's I don't want to do this brush actually. I keep changing my mind. This is what happens when I try to talk and draw at the same time. I'm bad at both. Anyway, so on the surface it's like this grand thing, this like, you'll be welcomed into vampire society and you'll be given a place among like the like nobility and the courts and stuff like that. And so it entices a lot of people because life as a human in this world is not a good time. It's very, like, in a way, it's almost dystopian, except, like, fantasy dystopian, where, there's an elite class, which in this case is the vampires, and a oppressed class, which in this case is the humans. And so Anya, my beautiful main girl, she enters this contest not because she actually wants to win and be turned into a vampire, but because she wants to get close to the vampire that killed her sister. So that's sort of the basic premise of the book. Obviously, there's lots of twists and turns and all kinds of fun stuff in there. And there's a little bit of a love story, but I did not feel like drawing him today. I wanted to draw her and her brother. So yeah, there's interesting like vampire characters, because like one of the things too is that she has this whole thing about how she, hates vampires, they're all evil, blah 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 blah. And to a large extent, like, she's correct. I mean, vampires are vampires. But she starts to realize over the course of this that, there's more than that. There's oppression and stuff within these courts, and that there's like all kinds of stuff going on that she never really like even thought about from her, perspective of, this is what happened to my family and I need to see justice for it. And at first it's like she doesn't really care who gets in her way if they're a vampire, because to her they're all evil. But as it goes on, she starts to realize there's more to that, and starts essentially, she befriends these two vampires that are pretty much just as oppressed as she and her family are, and starts to kind of see things. And at first she's very adamant about like how, it's not the same, and she could never be friends with some vampires or whatever. And part of her character development is that whole idea of seeing people for who they are rather than what they are, which I think is always a good thing to have in your stories. Just a little reminder that people are people, they're individuals. Anyways, I always feel like I sound preachy when I start going off on that, so I'm gonna try not to. I just think that people generally are cool, and we should give them a chance. And my way of saying that out loud is a book about vampires, because I'm nothing if not consistent. I love vampires. So anyways, hopefully these illustrations will turn out good. Hopefully the book turns out good. I actually just finished reading through and kind of marking up my first draft, and I feel like it's going pretty good, so that's nice. My last book, definitely, which was my first like published book, it definitely did not go as smooth as I feel like this one's going. So that's nice to see that I've had improvement on my own. I also just realized I'm coloring a spot that's covered, so let me scoot them on over. Yeah, so it's nice to see my own like internal growth as an author, and just to be able to think like, oh, this one's not going to take me forever and a day to get it done because I understand how to do things a little better. I also am going to have a lot more time to do it because I'm about to graduate college, so I won't have school in the way, which will be very nice. Be able to just focus up on what I want to be doing, which is writing and obviously art. And I do think I'm in this wonderful, somewhat unique position. I'm not the first, obviously, of being both an author and an artist, so I can do something like this. I can try and see if I want to illustrate my own stories and see how that looks. See if I like my own style. Some days I do not like my own style. Some days I love my own style. So today I think I'm liking it, which is always good. I fixed where my boy Cal here was looking a little too anime boy for what I'm going for today. Why does this not look right to me? I think he does not look as anime boy, which is good. You know, anime is such a cool, has so many styles within it that are very cool. It's just not what I'm doing today. One thing that I do, which is incredibly stupid, is I use this brush for like almost everything when I paint. And the reason it's stupid is it doesn't have a good like point. So like trying to get up into like this bit, see how it's all chunky. Like this is just a quick scribble of it. It's all very like squared, rounded kind of edge. But I just really like this brush for literally no reason. And so I suffer. I make myself suffer because I love this brush. And I'll try other brushes, and then I just go immediately right back to this one. It's very stupid of me. But you know, sometimes you love things that are not good for you. This brush is one of them. Yeah, so hopefully today I will get a good amount of work done on these. I do think that they're looking a lot better than they were by the end of the last stream. I think it's going to be fun because I used to only draw in black and white because I am partly colorblind. And so it was really intimidating to me to try and draw in color. And, you know, and then I started drawing in color and I got over myself and all of that. But there is something very, like, almost nostalgic about the fact that I'm doing this in just completely gray tone, black and white and all that. So that's kind of neat, just to return to essentially the way that I learned how to draw. I mean, it's still very different because this is digital art and not just a mechanical pencil that I have with me in my backpack, and yeah. But that's my drawing roots are literally just doodling on my schoolwork. I used to draw on my homework, and my teachers would always like comment like, oh, this is so cute, or you know, whatever. And I don't know, it was really funny because it's like I never like meant to draw on my homework. I just would be like, oh, here's a paper and I need something to do with my hands. So that's how I would end up doing that just all the time. And then I'd do whatever doodle, and one of my teachers would comment on it, and then I'd be like almost embarrassed, even though they were like, oh, it's so good or whatever, because I was like, oops, I did not even realize that I did that on the thing that I just turned in. Oops. But hey, it worked out, because I mean, look, I'm doing the thing, I'm doing the art thing. Yay me. And I also had a teacher who's the only teacher who's really understood the whole like not being able to sit still thing. Well, the only teacher I had at the time was my math teacher, and she understood that for me specifically because she knew me very well. She actually happened to know me since I was very, very little. Oops, did not mean to open that. So I would draw in her math class, and she would scold other people who tried to like draw in her class because she knew that they were just doing it because they didn't want to pay attention. Whereas for me, she understood that that was how I process things, and that I actually remember things better if I can be doing something with my hands at the same time. So she would let me draw. And in fact, I would even sometimes draw things for her during class, and you know, as long as I was turning things in and doing good on my grades and all that, she did not care. And I always thought that that was really good, that she understood like the difference in how people process, you know, because I had another friend who she didn't know for as long as she knew me or whatever. She knew her just for high school. But she also kind of processed in a similar way. She always let her draw in class, and she was very good at picking up on, you know, who was doing things because they didn't care, and who was doing it in order to process what they were hearing and seeing. And I really appreciated that about her, and I think if more teachers understood that aspect of individual learning and how some people need something tactile and in their hands, I feel like that'd be just really cool if that was more accepted and allowed. I mean, for all I know, it could be. I haven't been in school in a while. I've been doing college, but I've been doing it online because I do not do classrooms well. But yeah. So I feel like stuff like that was very good. I also used to write stories in class. And that was me just not wanting to pay attention to anything. That was me being a little bad. Okay. So we got some nice base stuff to work with here. I am going to take a sip of this hot chocolate that I made myself earlier and then forgot about. It's still warm. We're good. Okay. I have to think about how I want to approach this, because again, it's been like a little while since I've done something in mostly gray tones, despite the fact that that's like my foundation. Because again, partly colorblind, yay me. So I think what I want to do is what I usually do essentially when I'm working with gray tones, is I just go just a tiny smidge darker, and do shading all around, and then I take a darker color, go again, and it's a whole thing. The difference is that I'm hoping to essentially get rid of the lines little by little. So, whereas I used to always have line art in my drawings, I think I want the light to be, you know, kind of coming from this way, which doesn't totally make sense for the environment that the scene is in, but I don't care. Because technically there's like a wall right in front of them, because he has this little workbench against the wall. And so it's just, you know, one of those lights, one of those nonsense light sources that are solely meant to make a thing pretty. Yeah. So we'll see how this goes. Heading back to my art roots here. Of just good old-fashioned black and white. I feel like the first, I guess, layer of gray is always a little, like, vague, I guess, because I try to get everywhere that there is shadow with it, and then I kind of refine it with the darker grays and everything. But hopefully it turns out okay. I feel it's weird because this is something I used to feel very confident in, doing black and white stuff, and that has definitely shifted to where I'm like, is this right? Is this it? Is this how this works? Weird. That happens though. I feel like art is just sort of a weird thing that way, where you can feel really confident about something and then later just be like, I don't know about that. So, yeah. Anyways, I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to turn out nice at the very least, even if it's not the most gorgeous thing I've ever drawn in my life, which, I mean, that'd be nice if every new drawing was like immediately the best drawing. That'd be really cool, actually. Well, except that you would always look back on your old stuff and think, ew. But to some extent, that'd be pretty cool. Okay. It's getting there. It's getting there. This looks like a face, generally, and that's, you know, that's what you want. You want a face when you're drawing a face. Incredibly wise words, I know. I'm so good at words. Okay. Yeah, it's still, like, I think a little, what's the word I'm even looking for? Like, vague is almost the word, but it's not it. Colors first and then add to it. And in part, that's why I like to do the lightest color first, because I'm covering everywhere that I think needs any shading. And then as I add more, you know, more to it, more layers or whatever, it gets more precise. So yeah. I'm actually gonna make the brush just a little bigger. It is really nice though to not have to be like color picking at all. Well, I mean, I have to pick grays, but I don't have to like try and make sure that every color is just right. It's just gray. And I have missed the, oh, I have it on eraser, no wonder it doesn't look right. Anyways, I've missed the ease of just grays. It's very nice to do, actually. Um, especially after quite a while of not. So yeah. Oops, that's a little too small. Just a little lighter there. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let me do the same for his face, I think. That's what I want to do next. Okay. He looked so much like an anime boy when I was first working on him, and that was quite a struggle to get him to stop looking like an anime boy. It happens. Sometimes you just have unexpected anime. Okay, he is a little closer to the light. Ah! I swear, I do this all the time where I bump the button on the pen that pops that up, and I need to change my settings or something because I literally hate it so much. It's very annoying. Oops. Oh, and I'm somehow not on the same gray anymore because I'm so good at this. I'm so professional, can you tell? No, sometimes I just lose all sense of coordination, and yeah, it's kind of the same as how like trying to like talk and draw is kind of hard for me. So naturally I started an art stream where I have to talk and draw always. But it's like it's the same thing of where I feel like I make really dumb mistakes while streaming that I don't usually make when I'm just drawing by myself. So it's kind of funny. Like, I mean, every once in a while I will still do some stupid, annoying thing because, like, every artist does stupid, dumb, annoying things. But definitely not as often. It's that split attention kind of thing, you know? Which is ironic after I was talking about how drawing helps me pay attention. It helps me pay attention when other people are talking. It makes it harder for me to talk. Which I think is pretty normal. You know, it's more just about having something in my hand. That's what helps me focus. So even just like if I have a pen in my hand, that helps a lot because I can fiddle with it or whatever. I'm the kind of kid that like I could have done with like the fidget spinners and stuff like that they make now. They make all kinds of weird fidget toys, and I'm like, man, I really, really wish that they had that when I was in high school. But then again, maybe I wouldn't have spent so much time doodling and getting better at art. So I guess it's a good thing? Oh. Okay. Oh, wait. Let me get this. Okay. I feel like this is going pretty good. Feeling a little less nervous about having to do black and white. Okay. So, got that. I'm going to make the brush a little bigger again and start working on, do I want to do hair or do I want to do clothes? I'm going to do clothes. Do some base clothes shading. Okay. I feel like it's maybe not the most exciting thing in the world to just watch me slap some gray on a page. But I appreciate you watching, because, you know, sometimes you just gotta slap some gray on a page. Sometimes that's just how it is. And in theory it will get better as I get to start slapping different gray on a page. You know, this is a real thrilling stuff. The gray stream. Okay. So we got basic clothes shape. Let me go over to Cal. Actually, Cal's shirt is white, so I'm just gonna try and do a little bit. Try not to do too much on it. Just kind of. Actually, I think this whole section would have some light shading on it because of position of people. But this other side would definitely have less. So, get that going. Okay. I also need to really make these hands look like hands. They do not currently. They look like weird lumpies. But hey, sometimes that's just how the hands gotta start out. Okay. So, that. Hair. Because I'm further ignoring the lumpy hands, as I am prone to do. Here we go. Okay. So. Getting this going. I really love doing hair. It's, I think, one of my favorite things to render. Although, based on doing the way that I'm doing this, I think I pretty much just need to color this whole thing in, because I'll be adding highlights later, so. Oh, you know what I should do, instead of being a dummy, is hold on, wait a second. Oh, I'm just blind to my own settings here, which I realize you can't see on the stream at all, but there we go. Now I can just essentially scribble and not worry about making anything even remotely precise. Although I did just put that on the wrong layer because I'm dumb. Okay. And do the same thing to Cal's hair, so it doesn't matter if it spills over. Just a nice, solid chunk of gray. Okay. Do the same. Let me scoot this over. Same on this side. Okay. Go. That does make this part easy. Okay. Scooting it over and attacking Cal's hair. His hair is slightly darker than hers. Hers is like red, and his is kind of like a red-brown, essentially. So that's that. Okay, now I have to stop ignoring their big lump hands. Actually, let me do that real quick because that looks wrong to me when I zoomed out. Okay, gotta stop ignoring the lump hands. I mean, just look at them. They're so lumpy. They're so lumpy. It's fine. It'll look better when it's painted, theoretically. And if not, I'll just obsess over it for a while and, you know, lose my mind until it's fixed. But, yeah, that's generally what I do, is either I fix it when I hope I'm gonna fix it, or actually, you know what, I kind of think I just need to scribble most of this in. Either fix it when I think I'm gonna fix it, or I try to fix it and it just looks horrible over and over and over again, and so I give up, and then I suddenly find it easy, like, in a few days. I will never understand this, but it's just kind of how it is, where I have the worst time on something, and then suddenly it's fine. But the last, I don't know how long, the last however long, hands have been nothing but evil. So, okay, we have first layer of shading, which is good. Still very flat and boring though, so we gotta fix that. Okay. What is this layer? Oh, duh. Okay. So, going to get just, hey, come on. Why isn't this? Alright. Just a little darker. Not a ton. Still using that brush that is no good for me. Because I like this brush. And we're gonna start on Cal, which his hair is dark enough that I'm still just gonna scribble it in with this shade. I'll just do his ear too because it's on the dark side. Okay. Little by little, this is gonna look how I want it to, in theory. Yeah, this is what I literally always did with drawing for a long time, was just go from light to slightly darker, slightly darker, slightly darker until I had what I wanted. Oh, I also haven't really done anything with their eyes, but I'll deal with that later because I don't really feel like dealing with it now. Okay. Make this a little smaller. Start doing some stuff. Might actually make the background a darker gray for like the base of it. Cause like, so I want to do the background, you know, as like their house, but not like fully rendered or anything. I want it to be just almost like the implication of house. So it's like I want it to be where you can tell like it's a space essentially, but I don't want it to be particularly detailed. I don't want it to be where it takes attention away from the two of them. So I think having it be a little darker in value and having them pop out a little more will be better. Okay. Yeah. So this is definitely starting to be something, which is good. That's the whole point. You want your art to look like something. Even abstract art is something. It's just a not definable thing. Well, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's like, that's a square or whatever, if it's that real shapy abstract stuff. Although I'm like the worst person to talk about abstract art because I'm too literal for it. I get very what's the word? Like, I don't know, it's like art doesn't have to have a point, but it kind of does to me because I'm too literal, I guess. I'm like, well, there has to be a reason that this art exists. And even if it's just, well, because I think it's fun, that's fine. It just, like, there has to be a reason for it. Even if it's a dumb reason. I want there to be a reason. So, that's my literal self cannot handle a lot of abstract art because I cannot discern any reason for it. And I'm like, I'm sure it's there. That's the problem, is that I'm sure that there is a reason and I cannot find it, and then it frustrates me because I'm too literal. I just, there's some things that it's like, it's for somebody, but it's not for me. I'm the wrong somebody. But I've always just, I really like drawing people, It's always what I've liked to do. Now that being said, I do get a little more abstract when I'm angry or upset. Because I just need the movement of it in my hand, if that makes any sense. And so to me, if I could look at a piece that someone did that was abstract, and I could know they did this piece because they were upset, because they needed that movement, they needed that speed, I'd be like, cool, that makes sense to me. But you can't see that when you look at it. And so it just doesn't work in my brain because, again, I'm just too literal for certain things. Okay, this is pretty good so far. Gonna bring in that cheekbone just a little, kind of cheat it out a little because technically light would be going this way instead of straightforward, but as I already said, I'm kind of cheating the light on this one. This one's more about the effect than than sense, I'm pretty good, I think. This is making me kind of miss my days of literally just having a mechanical pencil to do everything. Which would make some artists cringe, but I don't know, there's just something fun about having just one thing, one thing in your hand. And just not really worrying about what it needs to look like or anything. Just trying to do what you can. Something to be said for that. About essentially, limiting yourself, although that wasn't necessarily on purpose for me. It's just what I had. But limiting yourself to see what you can do with it is, I think, kind of an interesting thing to think about, like, now, on sort of the other side of it, being like, yeah, that's what I did. That's how I learned how to do, essentially, like, value work. I just didn't have the term for it at the time. Was that I had to make things look right. Had to make things look right to myself. With only just mechanical pencil. So, anyways, I didn't mean to just be weirdly nostalgic today, but I guess that's a thing. I kind of just miss doing that a little bit. Maybe I should do a piece just for fun. Just mechanical pencil only piece. Because, you know, I still could. Nothing's stopping me. Yeah. You know, and my brother would draw with me too, and he also would just do mechanical pencil, and we learned things together, essentially. He's even more colorblind than I am, so figuring out some of that stuff together, I think, is part of why I'm, like, pretty good at it. Like, I don't want to be like, ooh, I'm so good at this. But, like, when you can't see all the colors, and your brother, who's also an artist, can see even less colors, I think you have, like, a weird advantage when it comes to doing the, like, value work on this type of thing. Maybe not with colors, because you can't see them all. But with working on values, I think there's a weird advantage. It's starting to get cool, so I decided to chug it. Yeah. Okay. His nose doesn't look right to me. Because I think I need a little more. There we go. That helped it a lot. Okay. Let me get this lighter one again. Messing up my layers. Oh well. Sometimes it just is what it is. Okay. Yeah. This is better. Still not quite what I'm looking for, but it's better. For sure. That's too dark. Okay. Yeah. This is getting better. That's not what I meant to do. It happens. It happens. A lot, unfortunately, because I'm not coordinated. Alright, I'm gonna circle back to that, because otherwise I'll just zoom in on it and not do anything else for the rest of the stream. So, okay. I think his face is, like, pretty much, like, good to go. For, like, what I'm working with, I'll need to do, like, the detail stuff. I need to deal with his eyes, I need to deal with his lips, but, like, for just the general general stuff, I think it's looking pretty good. Yeah, see, when you can take the line art away and still have the basic features, like that's pretty much where I wanted it to be at, so that's good. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing for her. I'm ignoring those hands again because they're not good. And I don't want to look at the bad hands. Okay. Oh, I have the wrong gray. Okay. Here we go. You know, it'd be really nice if by the end of stream I get to the point where I can take the lines away and like take them away for good, essentially. So that either in between streams or for next stream, I'll just be working on those like details and stuff. That'd be really nice. We'll see. We'll see. I should save. I haven't saved in a while. Okay, her hair is lighter than his hair. So I do want, like, it's still gonna be mostly, mostly this, but not entirely, because we're getting to that point. Down here is definitely gonna be colored in. Oops. Okay. And here we go. So these two characters, I'm looping back around, I guess. These two characters are, I really like them, obviously, or I wouldn't want to draw them or write about them or any of that. But they are, I think, like, I love when I have siblings in stories. Almost all of my main characters have siblings, because I have siblings, and I like to, you know, bring that into my books. I love when I read books that are either about siblings or there's the main character's siblings are important to them in some way or another, because my siblings are important to me. But these two in particular, I really like, because essentially at the beginning of the story, which is the part that I'm painting right now, the beginning of the story, they're kind of not sure if they're really going to be able to see each other again, because she's going off to do this whole revenge thing. And so this scene in particular is essentially like their goodbye. And he's kind of at his workbench, and she comes up from behind and just kind of puts her hand on his shoulder, and he doesn't really want to look at her because he's afraid that if he does, he will cry. And so, like, there's that, I guess. There's that. But essentially, that ends up, you know, not being the case. Like, they do see each other again. And, you know, that's all good and stuff. But I think the thing that I like about this story that I don't necessarily have in the story that is already published, is that these two, like, even though it's about her, you know, she's the protagonist, all of that, like, he's important in not just, like, he's important to the story, not just in how he relates to her, so to speak. He has his own role in it. And, I mean, I would say, like, I guess because I'm planning it to be 2 books. But in the first book, he somewhat only matters in the sense of how he relates to her. But definitely not in the second one, which I have not even written the first draft of yet. But, you know, you gotta plan ahead. But anyway, so I like that he is this, like, important character, and that he essentially, he's kind of the only one supporting her in what she's doing, because if he could, he would be doing it with her. You know, he'd be going off trying to get revenge for... That eye is not right. Whatever. I'm going to ignore it and kind of render how I would if it was right. Because then it will be when I take away the lines. Okay. Sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought when I started really looking at this eye. Anyway, so he's the only one that's really, like, supporting her in her revenge quest, I guess you could call it. Because he's like right there with her. He wants to go out and do stuff, but he can't, because he has an old injury. But he's still, like, able to do cool stuff, I guess. Cool stuff for the story. And I like having that. I like stories where the siblings aren't just, like, props, so to speak. Because I feel like that happens a lot. Especially in, like, young adult stories. Well, especially in certain kinds of young adult stories, I guess would be the way to say that. This one's not young adult. This one's for adults. My other book, the published one, that one is for young adults. But anyways, and I don't like her nose. Okay. Anyways, I like stories that the siblings are important, and in a way that they're not just props to the main character or to the main story, or whatever you want to say. That's still not right, but it's better. Sorry, I just completely threw myself off here by noticing certain things on her face that I did not notice before, that I don't care for. But hey, that's kind of just how art is sometimes, where you're like, this is totally good, and then you look away for a bit, and when you look back, you're like, oh, actually, no, it's real bad. And that's what I am experiencing right now, is the, oh, actually, no. So, anyways, I'll deal with that as I go along, rather than trying to deal with it all at once. This going here. I love a good, like, swoopy hair. It's one of my absolute favorite things to draw, is a big hair swoop. There's something just, like, fun about it, you know? Because, I mean, a lot of times hair in real life does not behave, so it's fun to make it not only just behave, but be kind of awesome in drawings. So I think her hair is very cute. So even though I've decided her face is not behaving, Her hair, still good. Okay. To try and get this to behave, even though it is not going quite how I want it to. We'll see. We'll see. It's looking a little better. I think, maybe. Could be wishful thinking. Happens a lot. Okay. Yeah. She's looking decent. Still a ways to go. Especially, like, with my weird nonsense lighting. I feel like she's, like, oh, I'm losing my words again. Why does it keep happening? She's, like, mostly lit from one way, but it's like also a little bit from the front. I don't know. Words are not my thing right now, or possibly ever, I'm realizing. That's you know, always a good thing when you're an author to realize you're not sure you've ever understood words in your life. But, you know, is what it is. Her skin is, like, a little bit darker than his. Not a ton. Because, like, they are siblings. 100% blood siblings. So they got the same genetic stuff going on. But, she is outside more. So she's just a smidge darker. That's not quite the right angle here. It's a little more like that, I think. Oof. I don't know, I'm struggling with her. That's never good. You know, sometimes you start streaming and you're like, yeah, everything's all good. And then partway through you're like, oof, can I draw? Do I even know how? So, you know, good times, good times. Okay, yeah, she's looking better. She's looking better. Still not great, but, I sort of feel like I'm gonna end up having to do a lot of, not like redo things, but just sort of polish things up a little bit, between like this and then like the next stream, just because this is not really going exactly how I want it to, which, I mean, what a surprise. It never really seems to. Okay. You know, I feel like I make mistakes in general, but I definitely feel like I make more while streaming, which is fine, and it makes sense because there's split attention. I have to be talking all the time. When I get people who are chatting, I have to talk to them, which is like all nice and fun, but it does mean lots of distraction. Okay. Here we go. Just, oops. Over the edge. Oh. At some point, I deselected stuff, I guess. I don't know when I did that, so, you know, obviously I'm the greatest at this ever. And don't let anybody tell you different. I'm tired. Does it... Although I'm quite possibly just perpetually tired at this point, so... This is what happens when you don't sleep and you are distracted all the time. Okay. So this is something. It's maybe not exactly what I want it to be yet, but it's something. I do think that I want, while I'm thinking about it, that I would like to edit the background on make it a darker gray. I think I like that a little more. Not like too dark, because I do want details to show up. I think there, let me see. Oh, I'm just realizing that you guys, oh no, you can see it, okay. For a minute I thought you couldn't see the difference. Yeah, I think I like the darker. And if I change my mind, I can always change it back, so. Okay. Back over here, because I have more yet to go. Going to work on her clothes, and then I have to deal with those ugly hands again. Okay, what time is it? Oh, 8:39. I feel like this one has gone by pretty fast, which is very nice, because sometimes these literally, it's just like, it feels like it's forever. And, you know, that's usually when I'm not in the best mood, though, where I'm like, I have to stream. But I feel like I'm in a where their hands and stuff are real quick. So that's always kind of a good base to start with. Okay. Over here, it's definitely dark because that's how things work. Over here. Kind of picture her dress as like greens and golds. So, which I feel like the golds will show up more. I'm just kind of trying to do like base color stuff, which in this case is just gray. Those little add them in more as like highlights because of how the colors are. That's real specific, I know. And okay, I do kind of want to change some of the stuff with her dress, but that also seems like something I'm probably gonna do off stream, because like I on having appear as I'm rendering things and all that, but Hers, I just sort of did the base shape of it, and I didn't really add any of that detail. So I'll need to deal with that later. I am ignoring it. Okay. Now his shirt doesn't need a ton of stuff to it because again it's a very light shirt. However, there needs to be enough to make it distinct. Okay. Do right there. Okay. A little bit bigger of a brush. And around here, around her hand. Okay, so we got that going. Actually, I don't like that. And now, once more, I gotta deal with the weird hands. Okay. Let's do it. Let's pretend these hands look normal and ignore how weird and chonky they are. Okay. See, it's not even necessarily they're chonky, they're chonky in a way that does not make sense. But you know, like I was saying, I feel like hands for me lately, can't do them. It's like I'll go in different phases too, where I'll have like something that I'm like, yeah, this looks like really good, and you know, every time it's so nice, and then like a week later I cannot draw it. One of those is frequently like legs. I'll have really good drawings of legs, and they look really nice and good and like legs, and then all of a sudden it's like that's just a lump. That's just lumps. Long lumps. Little leggy lumps. So you know, that's just how it is. I think really common ones for anybody are hands and feet. But no, some days it's just like a specific thing that I just cannot draw anymore no matter how hard I try. So that's fun for me. I will probably do these hands several times, trying to get them to look okay. But for now, I'm just kind of making them exist. Vaguely. Okay. Oh, you know what? I got distracted before when I was in the middle of kind of adding some of the little wrinkle bits. So let me scooch that over. Because again, it's like I drew all these cute little wrinkles and then ignored them. Okay. Alrighty. That's pretty good for now. 8:46. Okay. I don't really know how much longer I'm gonna stream. But I feel like this is going pretty good for now. So let's see. Trying to do darker gray. And zoom on in. Gonna start doing his hair, which I will finally change brushes because I really like doing hair with this brush. I just really like the texture it does. Oops, you know what? I'm not on the right layer, so let me just erase all that. This is a frequent problem because I just get into what I'm doing. You know, and I think that that's a decently common thing for people who were doing traditional art for years and years and years. And then you start doing digital art and you forget that, like, you could do layers and things like that. So I definitely will just randomly forget about things like that. So, you know, that's great. Oops. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So again, this is kind of just a, you know, almost just a solid pass over the hair for now. Not really doing much in the way of detail on it yet, but it's still got a little more texture now than it did before. So yeah, that's pretty good. Good start, I think. And I'll go ahead and do her hair while I have that brush going. And again, it's just like, it's not really much of anything until I get the chance to, like, kind of add more. But it's a start. I think it's exciting to see it, like, starting to be a thing, even if it's not where it's gonna end up. But yeah, here we go. Yeah, I love the texture of this particular brush for hair. It's just so nice. It's nice. It's a style that I like because I love having like painted, but like where you can tell that it's painted. You know what I mean? I don't love like hyper realistic stuff. Almost for the same reason that I don't like really abstract stuff a lot of the time, is because I'm too literal, and so I'm like, well, if you're gonna go so realistic, why didn't you just like take a picture of something? So it's my too literal nature just being like, well, what was the point of all that work if it's just gonna look like a photo? Then just take a photo. So I don't know, maybe it's the enjoyment of the process or whatever, because again, even when I don't like things, I try to understand what other people do. So if other people are really enjoying doing their like super realistic art pieces, then like cool. It's just it's not me. Not me. I like the middle ground. I like it's still a fun style. But it's not abstract. I say that, but none of this is like hard and fast rules, because there's lots of abstract stuff that I do. Super realistic stuff that I do like. It's just in general, that's how I feel. I do think, though, that drawing in a different style than your own is often very, very good for learning. So, trying to draw some every so often. Something that's just practice, Okay. I think this is turning out nice, so yay. I don't want to do too much on him because he is looking very nice and I don't want to ruin it. Also, he's, a smidge paler than she is, so he wouldn't have a lot of like the darker colors going. But there would be some spots. Make this a little bit smaller. Go in there. It's kind of funny because I spent so much time feeling like his eyes looked terrible, and now I feel like his eyes look better than her eyes. So that's just how it is sometimes. Okay. Make this even smaller. Actually, that was too small. Instant regret. Okay. Okay. Yeah. This is coming along. Kind of darkening some of this up because technically, like, I feel like I don't need to do a ton of that overall, but part of this drawing is I do want him to look very tired. So darkening up underneath a little more than I normally would. Like, I would still do, a bit of like shading down there, but I think I wouldn't normally do exactly how I'm doing it, I guess. It's not too different than what I would normally do. It's just a smidge. back into this. Kind of blend it up a little. Okay, back to this. Okay. Feel like it is coming along. It's a little crooked. Hold on. Let me fix this. I did a thing badly. Because of course I did. Okay. I just like hyper fixated on his upper lip for no reason. Made it more detailed than I originally planned to, so you know, that's whatever. Kind of tone it down a little bit. I'll probably do some blending later too, because things like that. Okay. I feel like I definitely went into like way more detail there than I needed to, and now I'm just staring at it. So yeah, that was genius of me. Done like his actual like lip, I think it looks weird. Oh well. I should definitely do that blending soon. I was like, I'm not gonna do too much on him, and then I did, and I feel regret. Okay. Go a little lighter. Kind of fix some of the nonsense I have done. Okay. Even lighter. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is coming along. It's coming along. I do feel like I should probably be done soon because I can just feel myself getting really, and that I'll start making even more mistakes, and I don't want to do that because then I have to fix the mistakes, and that's annoying. So yeah, I think that should probably be it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully you'll be able to come by next time, and I'll still be working on this because it's got a ways to go. So yeah, thank you and bye.